Going plant-based is one of the best things you can do for your health, but it's not equally easy for everyone. This was the case for me and some of the patients I met through my practice. So I'm hoping this video helps you transition to a vegan or a plant-based diet without any discomfort or issues. Powered by Legumes. Today we're going to be talking about things that are not often mentioned, things that are a little bit uncomfortable to talk about as well. Things like being bloated, uncomfortable, having stomach pain, or just in general feeling too full or too hungry. I wanted to talk about these issues in depth, so I've made several videos and this is the first one. These are the timestamps if you want to skip ahead to these issues. When we switch to a plant-based diet, our primary source of protein becomes legumes, and if you're not used to having these, this can cause bloating. Legumes such as beans and lentils are rich in resistant starch and fermentable fibers that pass through our gut without being digested and feed our friendly bacteria. They specifically increase the abundance of bifidobacteria and butyrate-producing bacteria, both of which make small-chain fatty acids, which nourish and protect the intestinal cells, just improving overall gastrointestinal health and reducing chronic disease. This fermentation process, however, produces gases such as hydrogen, carbon dioxide, and so on. Normally, these gases are expelled out without any issues, but if you're not used to eating legumes, you might not have the adequate amount of bacteria, overwhelming the ones you already have. The reasoning is unclear whether we need to have more of these bacteria or just the ones we already have, but the fact is we need time to adjust to these foods to avoid feeling bloated or uncomfortable. And the best way to do this is to incrementally increase your legume intake over the days and weeks. And this will save you a lot of discomfort or bloating. In one study, 70% of the participants who experienced flatulence and bloating said that it completely dissipated by the second and third week of bean consumption. How often you have the legumes is also important, with participants who ate beans daily for 8 to 12 weeks noticing a reduction in their digestive systems across that period. So slowly increase your fiber intake, with half a cup of legumes a day in the beginning, increasing it over the weeks. Start with easier to digest legumes such as mung beans or mung dal or yellow lentils. Cook lentils with spices that aid in digestion, such as turmeric, ginger, or fennel. In the beginning, avoid mixing various types of legumes in the same meal, like a 5-bean chili for example. If you're using legumes from a can, make sure to rinse the water, as it contains bloating agents and additional salt you want to avoid. If you are a vegan for a longer time and still experience bloating while eating legumes, I recommend trying these steps. Soaking beans and chickpeas overnight to leach out some of the compounds that produce bloating. Taking probiotic supplements with strains such as lactobacillus and bifidobacterium. Introducing these healthy bacteria strains will aid in breaking down resistant starches and thereby reducing gas. To summarize, legumes are one of the best things you can eat to promote health. Incrementally increase legumes to avoid discomfort or bloating. Try some techniques like using Indian spices or soaking overnight to aid digestion. If you're feeling tired, having stomach pains, or overall discomfort, you may be having a food sensitivity. When we start on our plant-based diet, we're introducing a lot of new food groups and ingredients. Things that you've never had before, rarely, or in very small quantities. This was the case for me and soy. I rarely had it before, and when I turned vegan, I was eating a lot more soy, and I was having constant stomach pains, and it took me a while to realize that I was sensitive to soy. Food intolerances are fairly common in our population, with up to 20% being intolerant to one food item or the other. And food intolerances are different to food allergies in the sense that the immune system is not involved. It's not life-threatening, rather your digestive system is involved. When you're intolerant to food, you experience a lot of symptoms such as fatigue, tiredness, pain, intestinal gas, and so on. These effects can be after a few hours you ingested the food, or even up to 24 hours after you've had it. This makes it really difficult to find out exactly what you're intolerant to. So these are just a few groups that are common in the intolerance section. So if you do have any kind of pain or discomfort, you can try and avoid these groups and see if they're the culprit or not. Number 1 is foods containing histamine. Amines are compounds produced by bacteria during fermentation and storage. Histamine, a type of amine, is a chemical in the body that plays a role in the immune system. In people without an intolerance, histamine is easily metabolized and excreted. However, some people can't break down histamines properly, leading to symptoms such as stomach pain, low blood pressure, and diarrhea. So if you're intolerant to histamines, foods to avoid include kimchi, dried fruits, vinegar, and also fermented beverages like beer and wine. A vegan diet is rich in fruit and fruit sugars. Fructose is a simple sugar found in fruits and vegetables, and in really high concentrations in sweeteners like honey, agave nectar, and high fructose corn syrup. In people with a fructose intolerance, fructose is improperly absorbed to the body, causing symptoms like nausea, stomach pain, bloating, and all the other effects as well. If you're intolerant to fructose, you want to avoid fruit juices, and syrups like agave nectar, maple syrup, and so on. Another thing that I've noticed is that when you start on a plant-based journey or you want to switch to a healthy diet, you include a lot of herbs and spices, which is really good for you, but they're actually high in a compound called salicylates, and there are some people who are intolerant to salicylates. Salicylates are chemicals produced by plants as a line of defense against environmental stress. These chemicals have been shown to be helpful to people by having a protective effect against colorectal cancer and cardiac problems. However, people that are sensitive to these compounds have a vast array of effects, starting from sinus infections to gut inflammation. While avoiding salicylates is not possible, there are certain foods that are really high, such as herbs and spices, and tomatoes, which are really high as well. Additional intolerances include soy and soy products, caffeine, MSG, which causes headaches in some people, and yeast and its products such as nutritional yeast or any baked goods. So if you're experiencing discomfort and stomach pain and you think you may have an intolerance, the best way to go about it is either by an elimination diet or keeping a food diary. If you're writing down everything you're eating and jotting down how you're feeling afterwards, whether you have a stomachache or itchiness, after some weeks you can find out the culprit by cross-checking the ingredients. Another way you can do it is eliminating most foods and slowly incorporating them back, finding which groups are giving you the trouble. One key thing to note is that food intolerances can change over time. So you can be intolerant to a food group now, but in some years you may be able to tolerate it again. You are introducing new foods and food groups when you switch diets. If you're feeling discomfort, you may be intolerant to these foods. These include soy, fermented products, or yeast. Try keeping a food diary or an elimination diet to find the culprit. It's also worth noting that if you're not intolerant to these foods, please keep eating them. Whole food plant-based foods are healthy and good for you in every way. If you guys are still watching, I hope this video was useful to you and that you have a pleasant and comfortable plant-based journey. When I first turned vegan, it was an uphill battle for me and I made all of these mistakes, so I want to make sure that you guys avoid that. So there's a second part to this video where we talk more about being uncomfortable, discomfort, any kind of bloating and all that stuff. So that's coming out this week, so make sure to subscribe so you don't miss that. And yeah, if you have any questions, I'm happy to help. I'm here for you and I'll see you very soon. Bye!